Okay, what's going on YouTube? Happy Mars Yard 3.0 launch weekend to all of those who celebrate. If you hit on a raffle or you got them in the ISRU app, congratulations. Maybe you're looking to bite the bullet on resale or you're hoping to get lucky next year. Luckily, I got a raffle W from Haven here in Toronto. It's my first big raffle win in a very, very long time. And so I'm very happy because I'm going to put the Mars Yard 3.0 through the paces just like I did to my 2.0s here, which, look at these things. I've definitely worn these to the ground. So what I want to do with this video is just compare the the 2.0 to the 3.0. And I want to look at all the little updates and changes from the perspective of somebody who has a ton of familiarity with the 2.0 and has worn them to the ground, and somebody who is about to embark on the 3.0 here and is just looking at every little detail on the 3.0 in their dead stock form for the first time here. So first off, let's just check out my 2.0 here. Look how worn these things are. Like, it's absolutely crazy how much I thrash these things. Like, you can see the natural rubber on the bottom here. I've totally worn through it there, and obviously the foam is all beat up, and if you look on the toe box here, you can see that I've worn through the mesh like crazy. Like, it's just right in that like little pressure friction point there. I just wore right through it. And then on the inside here, I had to replace the insole at one point. And this is like the craziest part, the leather lining on the inside. Like, just look at all the foam coming out of the sides and the back. And if you think the foam is bad, look at that. I wore through the foam right there. That's like just the inner structure of the sneaker right back there. And so I wore through everything, the leather and the foam. And so, yeah, I have totally worn these to the ground. Tom Sachs is famous for saying, like, these shoes are only valid if you wear them. And so I think I did just that. I plan on doing that with the 3.0. But I want to take a minute to just say that, like, this is probably my most worn sneaker of the last decade. I'm one of those people where the Mars Yard is in my top 5, maybe even my top 3 of all time. Just absolutely love the 2.0. And, this shoe is like more than just a sneaker to me. It's like definitely the most comfortable thing my feet are like used to. It's like my foot's home essentially. And I've worn this shoe all over the world, across the oceans many times. And yeah, I am just absolutely in love with the Mars Yard 2.0, but I'm excited to retire them and hop into the 3.0 here. And we're gonna look at all of the little updates and changes from the 2.0 to the 3.0. Okay, let's get those off to the side. And jumping into the 3.0 here, one of the first new updates you see on this thing is the swoosh. This is I believe Tom described it as a silkscreen printed swoosh in the, I think it's called The Brief History of the Mars Yard. I think that's the name of the video. Highly recommended video, by the way. Go check that out on the YouTube channel if you haven't already. You probably have, but if you haven't, just go watch it. It gets you all fired up about the Mars Yard. It's such a great video. And this new silkscreen printed swoosh, I would like to hear from Tom and his team and the people at Nike if there is a functional reason they did such a dramatic upgrade, or I guess you could just say even update to the swoosh, because the 1.0, the 2.0, the overshoe, and the 2.5 all have a felt swoosh. And I'm going to show you here. There's the felt swoosh. A lot of people think that's like a suede swoosh on the Mars Yards. It is not. It is felt, but it's a very high quality felt. I've worn this shoe like, I don't know, like well over 1,000 times, and it's held up very well. And you can see there's the new silkscreen printed swoosh back to back like that. And yeah, I just gotta say, just based on a aesthetic perspective, I really like the new swoosh on the 3.0. I think it looks really cool. I wasn't sure if it was just a different colored mesh at first, but if you look, it seems to be like it is actually just printed on, because the inside of the mesh in there, you can see it's just all white. So it looks like it's printed on. And yeah, like that's a detail that I think is really cool. The other detail here that is pretty different on the 3.0 is this, I think they call it a TPU heel clip. And I can't remember what the like the hardness of the rubber is, but I always call this like a heel counter. And I guess what the idea here is just add stability to the sneaker. I'm going to trust the people who design these sneakers, like all of the super smart people at Nike who create shoes from scratch, that this actually does add quote unquote stability. I'm just going to be honest. I never had an issue with the Mars Yards, the 2.0s. Like, I mean, if you just look at the structure, it's almost like a triangular structure that goes down like this. And so I thought this shoe had really good stability. Hopefully the 3.0 has better stability, but again, never had an issue with it on the 2.0. It's not like a Flyknit Racer. The Flyknit Racer is like a shoe where that's a shoe that's so easy to roll your ankle in because it kind of gets more narrow as it goes down. That was never an issue with the original Mars Yards to me. So what do I think about this change purely from an aesthetic perspective? At first, wasn't really hot on it. I was like, do we really need to add that? Looks like you're just adding things for the sake of it at this point. But now that I have it in hand, kind of like it. You know, it works with the colorway. It doesn't throw it off or anything like that. Adds a little more contrast, but it's like, I like how it's like a natural, like rubber look, you know? Like it's not like red or anything. I think that's a cool detail. Okay, so another detail I want to point out here is actually one that is all over the shoe. This shoe, it's been, 8 years from the 2.0 to the 3.0, and you can definitely tell that this is a complete reinvention of the Mars Yard. I want to just look at all of the cuts of leather on the upper, the natural leather, which by the way, look how nice and plush the Mars Yard leather is when it's like a fresh dead stock pair. Like my pair is like my 2.0s are so crusty and nasty now, but the 3.0s are so plush and nice. But if you look at all of the cuts of leather on the upper, like let's just compare the 2.0 to the 3.0. You can see there's the back of the 2.0 and the back of the 3.0. Look at that. It's like totally different, the cuts of leather. Now that bottom panel kind of goes up over the top panel, and there's like an interesting little like cut there that shows more of the swoosh. And then another big change I noticed was on the front there. You can see at the bottom of the, I guess these are like the eye stays. You can see that the leather on the 2.0 goes across, and it's more open here on the 3.0. I'm gonna just guess that on the front here, the justification is that adds more like flexibility for your foot or something like that. I don't know, maybe this helps too with holes in the mesh over time, which I think is like a good segue just to talk about one of my favorite features here on the 3.0 that they've added is, we're gonna take a second here and look at the 2.0. Really look closely at the way the mesh looks on the toe box. You can see there's like a top layer there, and then there's like this horizontal under layer. And that wears through over time. Like you can see that there's like the big hole there, and where my toe is, I'll just show you too, like see where my toe is, totally wore through that under layer. And that wears through over time, but it takes a long time to wear through it. But if you look at the mesh on the 3.0, look how much more layered that looks. That looks like 2, maybe 3 layers of mesh. It's crazy. And maybe not having the leather cut there will prevent like pressure from building up in this area and creating holes here. I don't know. I'm just kind of theorizing. I would like to, like, I'm one of the nerds, the very few nerds who would actually like to know those little details and why these changes were made. But talking about the mesh, huge fan of that update and change. Talking about the leather panels and the changes that have been made to them here, really have no like opinion on them. I think it's just cool that like things like the swoosh and things like these leather panels, it shows that they basically deconstructed the entire Mars Yard and completely approached it like wanting to fundamentally change what the sneaker is while still being like a Mars Yard, you know? I think that's cool. And so I'm a fan of all those little changes. I don't mind them so far. I'll talk about a change that I'm not really a big fan of off the bat here, something that I'm a little sad didn't make it into the 3.0, is the 2.0 here, as you can see, doesn't have metal eyelets. Now, I do have the overshoe. I don't have it on me here, but if you go and look at the overshoe or you look at the 2.5 especially, they had metal eyelets on the eye stay on those pairs of Mars Yards, and I loved the way that looked. And if you ever pulled the Mars Yard out of the inside of the overshoe and tried to wear it, or you just wore the overshoe if you were that adventurous, those metal eyelets were so nice to slide the laces through, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad they added this update to the Mars Yard. And to see that it didn't make it to the 3.0, kind of bummed about that. I really wish those made it to the 3.0. Love the metal eyelets, huge fan of them. They also just looked freaking so good on the Mars Yard. Like, I just love the way they looked, and I'd be interested to know why they got rid of those. Is it really like a cost thing? I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of bummed that they got rid of that. I'll also talk about the toe cap here. This is probably the biggest change in the mainline Mars Yard series from the 1.0 to the 2.0 to the 3.0. I'm kind of in the middle on this, and like, you know, when you like really touch it and feel it, like, yeah, if you drop something like a toolbox on your toe, this is definitely going to help, but it kind of also just feels like a piece of rubber where it's like, I don't know how functional it really is. I mean, or if it's just for show. Still, I would not want to drop a, you know, what is it, like a toolbox or something like that, or a cinder block on my foot. Do not test that, guys. If you have this shoe, do not test that at home. Personally, I actually like the way the black toe cap looked on the 2.5 wear tester pair. It goes like on the bottom of the outsole at the front, and it kind of like comes up and like swallows the whole front of the toe. I just think it looks so much better on that pair. On this pair, it kind of just, this one big black strip at the front just kind of like throws the colorway off, in my opinion. Not a huge fan of that, to be honest. I almost would have preferred if it was like just a slightly different shade of natural leather, or even the same shade, and it just kind of kept the whole colorway coherent. Even if it were like this shade of like this natural rubber, would have been more of a fan of that. So those are the two things that I'm like really not feeling off the bat: the eyelets and the black strip here at the front for like the extra toe safety support, I guess you could say. One thing I'm kind of in the middle on, I think it'll be okay, is that if you look at the midsole on the 2.0, it's a very hard foam midsole, extremely hard. Now, Tom Sachs himself mentioned that this is a React foam that they use for the 3.0. So this is going to be way more comfortable, for sure, way more comfortable. But if you wear through this hard rubber outsole, which, by the way, this is a very hard rubber. Like, you can see how long it took me to wear through the hard rubber on this one, and this feels, I would say, similar. It's a little like more grippy, but I think that once you wear through this Epic React, or whatever it's called, the React foam, is going to really wear through more quickly. I've had React shoes in the past, and you do wear through them much quicker than you do like a hard rubber. But, you know, like, if you want to really live up to the whole Tom Sachs ethos, you could definitely put like a Vibram outsole on the bottom at that point. That definitely is like, you know, Tom would be proud if you did that. If you wore through them so much and you had to get like a Vibram outsole put on, that's probably what I would do if I wear through them. And I probably will wear them that much. So just something to think about. But overall, this definitely feels like it's going to be a way more comfortable shoe. What are some other details here? Obviously, you can see on the tongue here, there's like the little spot that keeps the laces in place on the 2.0. So right there in the middle. And there's nothing at the top on the tongue, but there you can see on the tongue, it's up there with the lace. It's kind of connected to the tab on the top of the tongue. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it looks good. Don't really have too strong of an opinion on it. I think it looks all right, all things considered. The laces are also different. They kind of have this like diagonal pattern on them, and if you twist I was twisting the lace the other day, and it kind of gets like more tight, the pattern. So I'd be interested to know what that's all about. Maybe it prevents them from getting like all like I don't know, like all crumpled up or something like that. But either way, I like the way it looks. This is what the laces look like on the original 2.0 there. Always like the laces on the 2.0. Like, they were very durable throughout the whole lifespan of them. Some shoes, they kind of snap over time or something like that, but 2.0's had a very good lace. What else here on the 3.0? You can see on the bottom, this is another big feature that a lot of people were talking about. Like, when I was in line for the raffle, guys were talking about this carbon fiber plate. I didn't know if it was for, like, you know, stepping on nails or something like that. Definitely don't test that. If you have these, don't test the stepping on nails thing. But I think it's like for actually, like, again, stability in the sneaker. If that's the case, then that's cool. I mean, that's just a cool little detail, you know? And you can kind of see it through the window there in the bottom, this like black carbon fiber plate. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Pretty big fan of that. I think that's awesome. And under the tongue, of course, says Mars Yard 3.0, 2023. The other one says 2016 on the 2.0. Okay, so that's like pretty much most of the updates and changes. Yeah, I mean, let's put these over here for now. And the last thing I want to talk about here is, I wish I had my 2.0 box on me. I don't have it at this location where I'm staying right now, but here is the Mars Yard 3.0 box. Gotta say, I love the outside of it. The bright red with the Mars Yard 3.0 branding there, the Tom Sachs branding. There's the Under Armour 13, as you can see. Oh, it says Nike MY3. That's cool. And then on the bottom, oh, I haven't even seen this yet. These shoes are only valid if worn and worn to death by you. Posers need not apply. Yep, definitely heard that from Tom before. And don't worry, Tom, I'm definitely going to do that. And so I will say, the outside of the box, I think it's awesome on the 3.0. On the 2.0, I think it's better, though, on the inside. And it definitely all the other Mars Yards, the Overshoe, the 1.0. I'm a little sad that the literature seems to be gone from the Mars Yard now, because the Mars Yard 2.0 came with like a little booklet about the Mars Yard project, and I think it would have been so cool to have that here on the 3.0, but we just don't get it now. And even if you look at the paper, I just folded it up here, it's just blank paper. There's nothing on it. And on all the other Mars Yards, it's usually got like paper that shows you like how to tie knots and stuff like that, like kind of like these knot instructions, and same insoles as before, just the cork and the basically like the mesh one. You know, on the 1.0 we actually did have I believe it was a 1.0 had a leather insole, and so we're just down to the cork and the mesh one here. And so I usually go for the mesh because sometimes these cork ones can be hard to get your foot in and out of. But yeah, that's the inside of the box on this one. And so overall, I would say I'm definitely like a fan of how many changes they made to the 3.0. Like I like that they really kind of went for it, and they really like used it as an opportunity to reinvent what the Mars Yard is. And so really big fan of that. Love the 2.0. Sad to kind of like put them away and retire them, but I'm looking forward to wearing through the 3.0. So hopefully we don't have to wait, what is it going to be like? Hopefully it's not 8 more years before the 4.0, but my 3.0s will probably look like this by then. And so I could do another comparison video in the future when that shoe comes out with all of the little things that I've learned about the 3.0 in that time period. So yeah, guys, hopefully this is useful. If you are somebody who's like passionate about the Mars Yard, what do you think about the 3.0 and all the little differences? Is there anything that you're a really big fan of and you're glad they added in the Mars Yard lineup? Is there anything that you wish they added? Is there something they added where you're like, ugh, I'm not a big fan of that. Hopefully they get rid of it on the 4. Really interested to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and take care.